You felt it, right? The phantom buzz in your pocket, that twitchy, irresistible urge to check your phone even when you just looked at it 1 minute ago. It felt like a glitch in your own brain, like it's been quietly hacked by that glowing rectangle. But what if I told you the key to this hack wasn't invented in Silicon Valley? What if the OG principles were discovered decades ago in a bunch of weird experiments with pigeons and rats? Now, we've talked about how habits get built, cues, repetition, rewards, but there's a deeper, way more powerful layer here. The thing in your pocket doesn't just work like a tool. In its most important features, it works like a slot machine. It runs on simple killer principle. Unpredictable rewards. In the next few minutes, you'll get the precise psychological switch that makes your phone so addictive, and how basically every app you use is designed to flip it. Our story starts not with a smartphone, but with a box. A simple soundproof chamber known today as the Skinner box. It was developed back in the 1930s by a dude named B.F. Skinner, a psychologist who would become one of the most influential and controversial names in the history of behaviorism. His goal was pretty simple. He wanted to figure out how our actions are shaped by what happens after we do them. Inside this box, Skinner would place an animal, usually a rat or a pigeon. This box had a small lever. At first, the animal would just wander around, and eventually, by pure chance, it would hit the lever. When it did, a food pellet would drop into a tray. Skinner called this operant conditioning, a behavior. Pressing the lever is followed by a reward, food, what makes the behavior more likely to happen again. The first stage is called continuous reinforcement. Every press gets a reward. It's the fastest way to teach a new behavior. But Skinner quickly started messing with the reward schedule. What if it wasn't so predictable? What if it was an on and off? He started experimenting with different patterns, or as he called them, schedules of reinforcement. He tried rewarding the rat only after a set amount of times passed, a fixed interval schedule, or after a set number of lever presses, a fixed ratio schedule. With these predictable patterns, the animal's behavior also became predictable. It worked just hard enough to get the reward it knew was coming. But then Skinner tried something that changed the whole game. He made the reward totally random. And this is where the psychological blueprint for your TikTok feed was basically born. Skinner created what he called a variable ratio schedule. In this setup, the food pellet would still come after a few lever presses, but the number of presses needed would change randomly each time. Maybe food come after 1 press, then after 10, then 5, then 20. The rat had literally no idea when the next reward was coming. The result was insane. The rat's behavior changed completely. It started spamming the lever at much higher and steadier rate than with any predictable schedule. There were no lazy pauses after getting a reward, because the very next press could be the one that paid off. Skinner had found one of the most powerful ways to create a persistent, hard-to-break behavior. And even more importantly, this schedule made incredible resistant to quitting. When Skinner eventually turned the machine off and the reward stopped, the rats conditioned this way kept pressing the lever far longer than any other group. They would press and press, clinging to hope that the next one might be the lucky one. They were hooked on maybe. Skinner immediately saw the parallel to a very human behavior: gambling. A slot machine doesn't pay out every time. It pays out on a variable ratio schedule. You keep pulling the lever, not because you expect to win, but because the possibility of winning is always there. It's the uncertainty that fuels the compulsion. Skinner was so confident in this, he famously claimed he could turn a pigeon into a pathological gambler. The core insight is this: if a reward comes every time, a behavior is just efficient. But if the reward is unpredictable, the behavior can become compulsive. This isn't a flaw in the animal's brain or a sign of weakness. It's a fundamental feature of how brains, including ours, are wired to seek and learn. And this mechanism, first seen in the lab, almost a century ago, is now the operating system for most of the digital world. For decades, the whole process was simplified into one buzzword: dopamine. You've probably heard it called the pleasure chemical, but that's a massive oversimplification, and it misses the whole reason your phone is so hard to put down. Modern neuroscience has given us a much clearer picture. Dopamine isn't really the chemical of pleasure, it's a chemical of motivation. It's the neurochemical of seeking, wanting, and chasing things your brain thinks it might be rewarding. And its main job is to get you off the couch, out and into the world to find stuff. Let's go back to the rat. The first time it gets a food pellet, sure, dopamine is released. When it gets the reward, the brain learns, hey, that was good. But very quickly, the system adapts. The brain starts to recognize the cues, the sight of the lever, the sound it makes. Soon, the biggest surge of dopamine doesn't happen when the rat gets the food. It happens before, in the moment the rat sees the lever and anticipates the possibility of food. Dopamine is driving the chase itself. But here's where the variable ratio schedule works its dark magic. Because the reward is unpredictable. The anticipation never really goes away. The uncertainty keeps the dopamine system on high alert. Every time you reach for your phone, every time you see a notification, your brain isn't just reaching to guaranteed pleasure, it's reacting to the cues. That predicts a potential reward. That reward could be a funny text, a validating comment, an important email, or some wild news. Most of the time it's nothing, but because it could be something. Your motivation system fires up, releasing dopamine and pushing you to check. This is such a critical distinction. It means you're not just hooked on getting likes. You might literally be hooked on the state of waiting for likes. The wanting can become a more powerful driver than the having. The system is less about satisfaction and more about never-ending hunt. This is probably why scrolling through your feed for the 10th time feels less and less satisfying. The dopamine hit already happened when you decided to pick up your phone. The rest is just a chase to scratch an itch that the anticipation itself created. Now, let's connect that lab science directly to the device in your hand. The designers of social media apps and games are masters of engagement, whether they did it by studying neuroscience or just by A/B testing what works. The result is the same. The most successful features are the ones that perfectly mirror the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. They've built a virtual slot machine and disguised it as a tool for connection. Consider the pull to refresh feature. The gesture itself is a direct parallel to pulling the lever on a slot machine. You perform an action, you wait for a moment of suspense, and then the screen reveals if you've won a reward. A new post, a new email. That tiny moment of uncertainty is where the dopamine of anticipation spikes. Then you have notifications. They arrive at unpredictable times and deliver unpredictable value. That little red badge on an app icon doesn't tell you what's waiting. It just signals that a potential reward is there. Is it a message from your crush? It's a like from a stranger, a stressful work email, you don't know. And that uncertainty is the whole point. You have to check to resolve the tension, and every check reinforces the habit. Likes, comments, and shares are maybe the most obvious variable social rewards. You post something, you have no idea if it will get 1 like or 100. This uncertainty can make you keep checking back, pulling the lever again and again to see what you have won. The social feedback loop is incredibly powerful because it taps into our deep human need for connection and status. And finally, there's the masterstroke of modern design, the infinite scroll. Before this was everywhere. Websites had pages. You reached the bottom and you had a natural stopping point. That little bit of friction was a decision point, a chance for your logical brain to ask, do I really want to keep going? Infinite scroll gets rid of that. The content just keeps loading as you scroll. You're on a variable ratio hunt. The next video might be hilarious, the next post might be inspiring. By removing the end, designers remove the chance to consciously decide to stop. Your brain, caught in that anticipation loop, just keeps seeking the next potential reward, swipe after swipe. Once you start seeing this mechanism, this slot machine logic, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere. It explains the feeling of having your time totally hijacked, of looking up and wondering where the last hour went. If you're finding this breakdown useful, you should definitely subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos. We go even deeper into the science of habits, focus, and human behavior, delivering insights that can help you understand these forces and start reclaiming your attention. The link is right below in the description. So we know these apps are variable rewards, but the engineering of uncertainty goes much deeper than that. The whole user experience is often fine-tuned to keep your brain's anticipation system buzzing. It's about creating and maintaining a state of unresolved tension that can only be relieved by one thing: checking again. Think about the sensory cues. Specific sound for a text versus an email, the vibration in your pocket, the way the screen lights up. Each of these is conditioned stimulus. Through repetition, your brain has learned to associate that specific ping or buzz with a possibility of a reward, like Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of a bell. Your motivation systems can fire up the moment you hear that sound, long before you even know what it is. The habit becomes so ingrained that reaching for your phone feels completely automatic. This is a critical part of the hack, the gap between the trigger and your response. That precise moment where conscious choices lives is systematically being erased. App designers have also become masters of precise design. This isn't just about making an app easy to use, it's about embedding psychological principles to influence what you do. They use data to see what makes you pause your scroll. They know what kind of notification is most likely to make you open the app. It's plausible they A/B test different shades of red for notification badges to see which one creates the most urgency. They can even manipulate timing. An app might hold your likes and then deliver them in a big batch. This can feel way more rewarding than a slow trickle, amping up the feeling of social validation. This isn't just you getting info as it happens. It's an algorithm deciding on most potent moment to give you a reward to maximize its effect. The power of this design is that it exploits a survival mechanism. Your brain evolved to pay close attention to new and unpredictable things because they could represent a threat or an opportunity, a predator or a patch of berries. Your phone now provides an infinite supply of artificial novelty. It's a supernormal stimulus, a jacked up, aggregated version of what your brain is naturally wired to seek. That's why it feels so hard to resist. You're not fighting a simple distraction, you're fighting an evolutionary drive that has been weaponized by code. The hacking of your attention isn't one single trick, it's a cumulative effect of a whole toolkit of tactics working together. When you open an app, you're dealing with multiple overlapping reward loops that creates a wild, unpredictable mix of stimulation. First, there's a mix of reward types. Unlike a slot machine that only gives you money, your phone delivers all kinds of rewards. In one scrolling session, you might find social validation, a like, connection, a message, novelty, a surprising fact, humor, a meme, an outrage, a political post. This blends keep the experience from ever getting stale. Second, the system is often designed to create social investment. Features like Snapchat streaks, where you have to interact daily to maintain a digital symbol of your friendship, a perfect example that can transform app usage from a casual activity into a social obligation. The fear of breaking the streak, that FOMO, can become a powerful motivator to open the app every day. Third, a escalation of commitment. The more time you invest in a platform, the stricter it becomes. The algorithm learns what you like and shows you more of it. You have curated your friends and followed your interests. You've taught the machine exactly how to please you. Living feels like abandoning a careful, constructed world. Finally, all of this happened in an environment where friction has been systematically removed. Auto-playing videos and preloaded content are all designed to reduce the mental effort needed to stay engaged. Less friction means fewer decision points and more time spent in a state of passive consumption. This whole ecosystem works together to create a state of effortless engagement that can last for hours, where you lose track of time and the real world just fades away. So, let's bring it all together. Here's the real talk at the heart of your relationship with your phone. You're not weak or broken. Your brain is simply doing what it was designed to do, responding to a brilliantly engineered system of intermittent variable rewards. The core of the hack is the shift from seeking pleasure to seeking the prediction of pleasure. The goal of the system isn't really to make you satisfied, it's to keep you in a state of perpetual anticipation, to keep you searching, scrolling, and swiping in the hope that the next interaction will be the one. Think about that feeling of boredom or low-key anxiety that often comes right before you reach for your phone. That feeling is a trigger. Your brain has learned that the phone offers a quick, low-effort way to distract from the uncomfortable state, not with a guaranteed reward, but with a process of seeking one. The scroll itself becomes a sort of psychological pacifier. This may be why, after 45 minutes of mindless scrolling, you might not feel better. You might even feel more drained or anxious. That's because you haven't just been consuming rewards, you have been on a dopamine fuel chase, in a loop that was never designed to have an end. The prize is always just around the next corner, the next swipe, the next refresh. The trick isn't to reward you every time, the trick is to keep you believing that the next time might be it. Understanding this mechanism is the most crucial step toward taking back control. You can't just out-willpower a system designed to bypass your willpower, but you can outsmart it. You can consciously reintroduce friction and break the reinforcement loops. This isn't about ditching technology, it's about using it on your own terms. First, dismantling the queuing system. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Every buzz and badge you get rid of is one less trigger for that anticipation loop if you have to consciously open up an app to check it. You're moving from a reactive habit to an intentional choice. Second, reduce the reward. A popular technique is setting your phone to a grayscale. A world of black and white is simply less stimulating to your brain than a world of vibrant, hyper-saturated colors. For many people, this makes the whole experience less appealing and easier to put down. Third, create your own stopping cues. Infinite Scroll is designed to be endless, so you have to impose your own end. Set a timer before you open a social media app. When it goes off, you have an external signal to stop. Use the app limiting feature built into your phone to create hard barriers, or reintroducing the decision points that were engineered away. Fourth, practice mindful usage. When you pick up your phone, take one signal, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I using this for? This tiny pause can be enough to re-engage the conscious goal-setting part of your brain. By naming your purpose, you can decide if the action serves you or if you're just falling into that trap. These strategies work because they attack the structure of the habit loop. They weaken the cues, diminish the rewards, and put friction back into the process. You're hacking back, using your knowledge of the system to rewire your relationship with your tech. So that's the mechanism hidden inside a screen. It's not about content reward, but intermittent reward, not satisfaction, but anticipation. It's a powerful system, but now you can see the trick. Understanding this is the first step, but the journey to reclaiming your mind doesn't stop here. If you're ready to dive deeper, we have a whole playlist of content to help. Check out some of our other videos, like Stop Using Willpower and Neuroscientist Guide to Habits, and I Tried to Trick My Brain into Tickling Me, and many more to come. You can find them on our channel page or in the playlist. Drop a comment and like, and see you in the next one.